Remember this, Obama cheated on the election. And we have it cold, hard, blue, and it's getting even more so because the stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So, and you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate, just say, oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election.
This is such old news. It's beyond comprehension that we're talking about. And I understand that this Epstein situation is very tricky for the administration. And day by day, it gets worse and worse and worse.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
But they are pulling out all of the greatest hits to try to inflame the minds of their most, conspiracy theory addled base so that they hear Brennan, Clapper, Obama, Hillary, and they get activated and suddenly they won't be mad at Trump anymore for not releasing the Epstein files or whatever he had to do with any of it. Talking about Hillary Clinton's emails again in year 2025.
We spent years on this story.
No, honestly, at this point, whenever Jessica Tarlov appears alongside her panelists, it looks more like a Jubilee episode than anything else. Especially when she takes them to task over the blatant attempts to distract from the news that, according to the Wall Street Journal, Trump's in the Epstein files.
This is the greatest subversion of democracy had they gotten their way.
But you already paid for the Durham investigation, then he came out and told you there was nothing there and everyone was angry at him.
We didn't have access
Yes,
to
that's not true.
to that.
We didn't have access to
Oh my God! These documents, by the way, I'm sure you wouldn't say that Andy.
CIA vault.
I'm sure you wouldn't say that Andy McCarthy is some liberal media goon who wants to cover for them, saying this has always been a foolish scam. Why are there 13 Russian nationals that were charged with interfering with the election if it wasn't true?
And that wasn't true. That wasn't what the report said.
Look at the Mueller report.
The liberal voice of sanity shut down the Trump administration's, quote, preposterous attacks on Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and others amid questions about Trump's relationship with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And the panel, of course, did Trump's bidding, right? Echoing claims that Obama should be worried about facing prosecution. Tarlov was quick to point out the irony that even if there's merit to the baseless claims, quote, Barack Obama now has immunity for every single thing that he ever did because that's how Trump wanted it. And the same thing will apply to him. So end of story.
On the trade front with the Japan deal, the headline I was paying attention to was that the United Auto Workers and the Big Three opposed the Japan trade deal. And I went through and I collected some recent headlines just to give a tasting of what the golden age actually means on the ground. General Motors' profit shrank 35% last quarter. President Trump's tariffs are costing Jeep maker Stellantis hundreds of millions of dollars. The cost of beef is at its highest level since the 1980s. And from today, independents drive Trump's approval to 37%, a second-term low. So the only president to beat him is himself from the first term. Border security, sure, he still has a positive approval rating on that, but not on immigration as a whole, because lo and behold, people don't want grandmas and people who've been here for decades rounded up. They don't want people sent to CCOT. He's lost 40 points with Gen Zs. So there goes that narrative that suddenly young people are conservatives. Independents approval down to 27%. But the cherry on top, I think, is that 70% say that Trump hasn't done enough to lower prices. And that is the reason that he won this election. It was an election about the economy where people had said, inflation is too high. I go to the grocery store and I see what's going on. And I was obviously on this panel throughout the election. And you guys said to me repeatedly, stop telling people what their real life looks like. Stop telling people what their real life looks like applies right now. They are saying that Donald Trump is too focused on his hard hat mission or his crypto, whatever, and get the prices down.
Now, this comes as Trump faces intense scrutiny over his involvement in the Epstein files, despite he and his White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt, when asked about the conundrum earlier this week, completely sidestepped any questions involving the matter, giving South Park plenty of ammunition for their upcoming episodes.
Another random commented on my Instagram that you're on the Epstein list.
The Epstein list? Are we still talking about that?
Well, are you on the list or not? It's weird that whenever it comes up, you just tell everyone to relax.
I'm not telling everyone to relax. Relax, guy.
No, I need counseling. You remind me more and more of this other guy I used to date. Like, a lot.
Tarlov then noted the fact that reporters have also mentioned during the many smoke and mirror shows, press conferences held by Leavitt that Secretary of State Marco Rubio was the GOP chairman of the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee when it issued a report on Russian interference back in 2016.
The Senate Intelligence Committee spent several years looking into this and unanimously agreed in a bipartisan fashion, Secretary of State Rubio was a member of that committee, that there was no political interference. There was a years-long Justice Department investigation into this as well that also concluded no political interference. So help us, from a 50,000-foot level, explain, what do you now have that refutes those two?
Sure. I will encourage you, in my role as the Director of National Intelligence, my job, again, as I said when I came into this role, was to make sure that we are telling the truth to the American people and that we are ensuring that the intelligence community is not being politicized. So I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm asking you in the media to conduct honest journalism and the American people to see for yourself in the documents that we've released now, close to 200 pages, that point in multiple references, multiple examples, to include comments that have been made by senior intelligence professionals, who are some still working within these agencies today, that confirm the conclusions that we have drawn, that President Obama directed an intelligence community assessment to be created to further this contrived false narrative that ultimately led to a years-long coup to try to undermine President Trump's presidency.
And it's your belief that those two previous investigations missed that or covered it up?
I'm telling you to look at the evidence. Look at the evidence and you will know the truth.
Pointing out how Tulsi Gabbard herself has had a sudden change of tune, considering she said this on Rogan in the past.
I think when you're talking about, and there's so many, I don't know, I'm kind of going in a few different directions here with these social media giants, how they're being misused to further certain agendas in different ways. But when you're talking about like these Russian troll farms that you mentioned, what is missing from all of the news coverage around this and all of the outrage about how this foreign country is trying to influence our elections, which is wrong and which the American people need to be aware of where this information is coming from, is the fact that and you're saying, why does somebody do that? Well, because this country does want to influence who we're electing, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, we'd rather work with this person. We know that person's not going to be nice to us. The United States has been doing this for a very long time.
Sure.
In countries around the world, both overtly and covertly, through these kinds of disinformation campaigns, not even counting like the outright regime change wars. We're going to physically take you out. And I think it is very hypocritical for us to be discussing this issue as a country without actually being honest about how this goes both ways. So yes, we need to stop these other foreign countries, and Russia's not the only one. There are others, from trying to influence the American people in our elections. We also need to stop doing the same thing in other countries.
Yeah, without doubt. But there's also the question is, what is Russia trying to achieve? Like, why do they want someone like Donald Trump in office versus someone like Hillary Clinton? Like, what is to be gained? And how much, how much do they benefit from that?
Yeah.
This is what's really one of the big questions that's going on right now.
Yeah.
With all the Russian hearings and the Mueller investigation and trying to get to the bottom of all this and why they did what they did and what they did. And there's many people that are blowing this off and they don't think that it's important, and the president's claiming it's a witch hunt. But it's very odd that we're having this conversation in the first place. It's never existed before in any single presidential election. There's never been talk of us or any politician that's running for president being influenced by a foreign superpower before today. It's just amazing that it took until 2016 before this became a real issue.
That's true.
And as we know, right, Trump pulled out all the stops to try and move on from the Epstein saga. He's gone full name Obama.
Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one look, he's guilty. It's not a question, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty.
To making racist team names great again, to arguing with the Fed chair in front of the world and fleeing to Scotland, all in the hopes that stories delving into the relationship he had with Epstein dry up. But it's doing the opposite.
Drops a few F-bombs. What do you think about President Hunter Biden?
Oh, look, I mean, you know, everybody in the world is talking about Epstein, and Fox is still talking about Biden's memory. I mean, I so long ago, I can't even remember it, to tell you the truth, Jesse.
The whole dang country wants to know where's the Epstein list. But Trump would rather change the subject. Yeah, it goes a little something like this. There's a video of him telling Jeff a joke. Time to go online and say, there's sugar in our Coke. There's a card he sent to Jeff for his big birthday. Time to tell the NFL, go back to your old names. The problematic ones. Jeff was at his second wedding. It's causing lots of drama. Hurry up, turn on caps lock and say, let's arrest Obama. Threaten Greenland, dance on TikTok, yeah, you get the gist. Anything to get us stop asking about that Epstein list.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.